you're not looking for the one, right? I won't be very popular for this, but when people talk about soulmate and twin flame kind of experiences, it makes me almost nauseous, because I know that they are seeking this one perfect human being, and everybody else is to be discarded. So you have to see, are you this thing that makes me feel perfect at all times? And I loved so much what you said this morning, which is there are a variety of people who can be the potential one for you. And it's about finding that connection and being right for them in that moment and growing together. Can you talk a little bit maybe about when somebody does look in the mirror and they see who they are and they reflect, right? How do you become that best version of yourself so that when you meet that right person, what is maybe one or two key steps that somebody who's listening to this right now that says, I want to meet one of those potentials and be ready for that. I want to meet that king and do my work. What is maybe one or two things they could do today that they aren't doing already?
Taking responsibility for their behavior.
I love that. Being
accountable for that. So that's really important. And I think that everyone should ask themselves, how have I been the saboteur of my previous relationships? What have I done or not done that has not been serving me or my partner or the relationship? And what is it, is it that I am too consumed by stress? Is it that I get nasty? Is it that I withhold sex? Is it that I withhold love? Is it that is it that I cling? Is it that I avoid? Whatever it is, what is it that I do that does not serve the relationship? Is it my self-esteem? So I think it's really just asking that question and taking responsibility. And then, maybe you read some books. Maybe you do go to therapy. Maybe you do hire a coach. You're like, this thing keeps on showing up. I want to stop doing it. Maybe if it's self-esteem, you have to do something that gives your life a little bit more meaning. Maybe you have to start becoming financially independent for some people. Maybe it's that you have to get off, stop playing video games. Maybe you have to stop watching porn. I don't know what it is, but there are things and we have to look at it. That being said, no one is ever going to be 100% prepared for a relationship, because there is nothing like a romantic relationship that's going to trigger us. So we have to prepare, but then we also have to recognize that our greatest work is done while we're inside of the relationship. Mm-hmm. And so when we're inside the relationship, we have to practice a lot of awareness. And the reality is that we have to, if more people came to the table with, this is who I am, this is the person who I want to become. But these are the struggles that I have. I'm going to mess up. These are the ways I'm going to mess up. I'm going to take full responsibility. But I want you to know that the person who I'm trying to become, that's very important to me. And I'm going to work on that. And I think that that's the deal.
I think if I can just add to that, I had a female client that I was working with, and she had given up herself, right? I think a lot of times females, we can kind of lose ourselves, right? In a relationship, and we can give and give and give. And at the end of this relationship, she didn't really feel as though she knew who she was. She didn't feel as though she had anything other than the relationship that was defining her. And so, back to you'd mentioned a couple of minutes ago, you had said, people will seek novelty, right? They'll seek things outside of themselves to, they need something to kind of make them feel alive again. So we worked really hard on what is it that makes you happy outside of a relationship? Sometimes I think people don't know what that is. And she was a singer, and she hadn't sung for many, many years. She'd kind of retired that part of herself. And I'm like, why did you do that? Like you're an amazing musician. You're an amazing singer. And so I worked with her to get her back up performing, right? Get her back on the stage, like get her doing something that she felt really proud of so that she wasn't just going into this relationship. And, Esther Perel's work talks about, attraction and desire is really created in this space where a partner is potentially looking up to you, like you're doing something and you're giving a speech or you're on that stage and there's something very sexy about that. That's something that you can feel proud of. And that's something that, if a man is watching you, it's very, very sexy. So my thing is like, don't give up the things that make you happy. And sometimes people don't even know what it is that makes them happy. But I say, if is it travel? Go do something. And if you don't enjoy it, that's okay. It doesn't have to be your thing. Like, then keep trying. Is it mountain biking? Is it yoga? Like, do you feel at peace when you walk out of a yoga class? Then okay, I need to do more of this. Like, go to the places that make you feel good so that you can recharge and bring more to the relationship. So I have a question then. Of course, we do deal with, I don't want to say masculine and feminine. My content really started out with me trying to understand men, right? I've read The Superior Man. I've read some of these texts that you speak of. And so we have the masculine and the yin and the yang. So I wonder what your opinion is on where do you see men struggling to form really deep relationships? Where do you think that they're at right now with, potentially why their marriages are failing, why women are stepping out of marriages? You hear this statistic all the time, 80% of divorces are filed by women. And it's like, okay, well, there's obviously there's something happening, right? There's an energy that's happening, even with modern dating. So how do you think men and women are really interacting with each other in relationship that is causing us so much discord and so much strife?
There's a very old belief system that most men above a certain age share, which is, I must succeed in order to be worthy. And a lot of a man's worth is tied into his work. When work is not going well, when anything is not going well that you have attached your sense of self and worthiness to, then what starts to happen is your self starts to crumble and you start to feel insignificant and you start to feel worthless and your life is starting to feel less meaningful. When that happens, stress happens. And this is the stress that happens where it's not about the event. It's about how we're looking at the event. It's not that someone died. It's not that there's a divorce, right? Because there's obviously very stressful things that happen in life. But this is the kind of stress where if you don't think you're worthy or you don't think you're good enough, which is basically the same thing because work is not going well or you're not successful, then you are going to be consumed with yourself, with your stress, and you're going to live inside here. And when you live inside here, you lose presence. And then you are no longer present with your partner. Let's just say your female partner. And a woman, whether she's in a relationship with a man or a woman, she needs presence from her partner. That is very, very important. We women need to feel like we are understood and seen. And so what I see is the crisis that's happening is just stress ruins relationships. It's not really the stress, it's how we react to stress. If your whole belief system is being challenged and you feel like your world is falling apart, you are not going to be a good partner.